Hey there, I'm back, and as I promised, I'm going to do an update on the conception, how I came up with PropUp. And I'm going to take you through the first ideas, some of the first prototypes, how I made the prototypes, how I came up with it. Right after this, I'm pretty excited. I got my new iPad. My new iPad 2 today, and I've got some awesome updates for you guys about the fit, but I'm going to do that later because I promised that I was going to do an update about the beginning of PropUp. So with that, we start out with the iPad. As you all know, I got this back in April like everybody else, and I started using it, laying it on my leg in my lap, holding it up on my chest, it's sitting in a chair, everything. I knew it needed something. So this is, let's see if I can find, I've got a bunch of stuff laying here. At my son's soccer practice, I had this idea bouncing around in my head about something to go on the back of the iPad. And I knew that it had to be, I wanted it to be something comfortable around the living area, around, for the kids and in the chair and everything, and not something hard plastic, not something metal or anything like that. And this, actually, I sat on a bench, and these are the actual drawings that I drew of the first sketches of my idea. So interestingly enough, you can see that. I had them put in plastic so I didn't lose them, because these are the first actual sketches. So from these sketches, I obviously had something down on paper, and I needed to get my idea out. So I started with floral foam. You can see just normal floral foam, that goes in the bottom of floral pots and things like that to stick fake flowers in. Went and got a bunch of that, big cubes of that, and that's where I started. I started carving and sanding and planing, and I had a laser jig set up because I wanted to carve a prototype of this thing that I could actually test. So the floral foam came out okay, but it's fairly fragile. So I knew that the prototype that I came up with was going to be relatively fragile, and this is actually the first prototype. And it is of floral foam, but what I had to do, you can see the edges right there. We didn't yet get, there's some good light. See how they're really kind of fragile. And this one's been used a lot, because this was the actual, there's prototypes that I actually ended up sending over to the manufacturer, but this, I kept the first one. And what this was, I sprayed on it was that spray vinyl coat to make it a little bit more usable, because I knew that I wanted to test it around the house and see if it actually worked. And you can see the iPad actually still fits in there. Now, it obviously didn't hold in yet, but that's how it went on there. And I thought it looked pretty cool. I thought it looked pretty sexy. There were a lot of concepts that I had that I was trying to build into this before I figured out what I was going to do. But obviously you can see, it pulls right off. At the very first it stayed in a little bit, but that's where I started coming up with the concept of the flex technology. The flex, what I'm calling flex technology, to have the corners fold in like in a real PropUp. It folds around, and I wanted the tension to be on all of those arms, so when you stuck it in, it would grab it and it would hold it. So when you hold it in, when you pop your iPad in there, it would hold. And also with a lot of different covers on there. So those were all of the ideas that I was working with from the very start to come up with the prototype, and the prototype worked, and it worked really well. I was so excited about it. Obviously got into making detailed drawings. We had detailed mechanical drawings with every angle and every arc and every measurement that I needed, because that's what I needed to do other prototypes. And After I figured out that the floral foam wasn't going to work for me that well, it worked for the first one, but it was too chunky and not smooth enough. So I moved to regular Corning hard foam. And this stuff worked really well. I made 3 hand-carved prototypes of this, and I essentially drew out my outline, cut those out, stacked them together, adhered them together, which is interesting. I'm going to show you one that was hours worth of work that all went awry and was just a killer in the morning when I got up. I knew that I had to spray it again with a coat, and this is about 7 hours worth of work. You can see where the levels went together and adhered together. This is 7 or 8 hours worth of hand carving, sanding, measuring with lasers and calipers and getting everything perfect. You can still see the holes in the bottom where it was mounted to paint. I had covered the whole foam piece. I've worked with foam a lot in the past, so I knew that it would shrink if you put something with a solvent in it. So I very carefully covered everything with an Elmer's glue coat, which is what they do in model train building and things like that, to not have the solvent affect the foam, and it looked perfect. You got to see this corner. This is just a killer. Look at that. See, it's just about to fall off. So I came out in the morning and was crushed. So I knew not to do this again, and then so I went about making more of the prototypes with the foam, and they were perfect. I sent those off to be 3D scanned, and that's when we started working on the prototypes that were going to come from the manufacturer that we were working with. I'm going to get more to that. This is the update about the first part of how I conceived the PropUp and how I started prototyping it. I'm going to take you through the first process on another update about a couple of months that I say wasted. I didn't waste it because I learned a lot. I learned a lot about different manufacturers, promises that weren't being kept, and you'll get to see some of the pitfalls of working with different manufacturers and what they'll tell you and what you actually get delivered. So I'm going to do that in another update. The next update I'm going to do is really exciting. It's about the iPad 2 and the fit in the PropUp. So please come back and look at the next post, because that's what I'm going to do next. So give me your feedback on all of this great stuff, the prototypes. I want to hear your stories. Hopefully a lot of you all inventors out there have had similar stories. Let me know. Give me your feedback, and I'd love to talk to you. So until next time, thanks a bunch. Bye-bye.